about. If you have a sunny corner of your yard where you can grow lettuce in a vertical wall, that's creating a beautiful pattern and adding beauty as well as food to your landscape, that might be one strategy. Perhaps you could replace one of your hedges with raspberries and have it be functional both as a beautiful barrier but also as a place to produce food. And the thing I love about raspberries, well, they taste fabulous, but they taste fabulous twice a year, some of the varieties, so that you can harvest them in the spring and again in the fall, unlike many of the other berries that are a one-time thing. It may be that what we're talking about is just tucking some edibles in around what you've already got. So you might be nestling in some kale in the middle of your perennial bed, or you might sneak in some beautiful purple cabbage in with your annuals to look pretty. But it's part of a cohesive whole design in your landscape. It's putting it all together and integrating it throughout the landscape that makes it an edible design. So why bother? Why would you want to grow your own food? I think there's a lot of really important reasons. One of them is it gives you a lot more control. You can decide which pesticides, which fertilizers you want to use, and you can decide how and when you want to apply them. You can help reduce your carbon footprint. So the estimate is that your food travels about 1,500 miles between where it's grown and getting to your plate. So if you go 10 steps out your front door and pick it, you have really reduced your carbon footprint in that way. But in addition to how far it's traveled, once it gets to the grocery store, or maybe before, it gets packaged sometimes in styrofoam, lots of times in plastic. So that packaging is all part of your footprint. And in order to keep it for you, it's refrigerated, so that consumes energy, and sometimes it's even sprinkled like a rainforest. They turn on and have thunder and the water comes. So there's a lot of resources that go into not only to transporting the packaging, but also showcasing and preserving it until you use it. So by growing your own, you eliminate the need for a lot of that energy. Diversity. Oh my gosh. You go to the grocery store and you're given the option frequently in many grocery stores of tomatoes. If you pull out any seed catalog, you may have as many, this one I pulled up, 135 types of tomatoes that you can choose from. And you can choose tomatoes for exactly what you want to use them for. Are you using them for a fresh salad? Do you want to dry them? So are you going to use them for cooking and tomato sauce? Tomatoes have many different characteristics. And people have many different tastes that appeal to them, and textures and flavors. So you may have some types of tomatoes that remind you of your childhood or things that your grandparents grew. And if you grow them from seed, you can pick and choose and have much more control over what your options are. You can also choose for the reasons that matter to you rather than what matters to the shipper. So a lot of our tomatoes in grocery stores were bred to keep from bruising, to have an extended shelf life. So many of them don't have a lot of flavor, but they look good. And that may not be what's most important to you when you're choosing your own. And you can do that when you're growing within your yard. Growing your own fruits and vegetables is a great way to improve your health. You get exercise. There's lots of bending and carrying when you're a gardener. There's nutrition. They've done a lot of research that shows that not only the gardener nutrition improves, but also everyone in the household of the gardener, and frequently friends and family of the gardener, because they're getting a wider variety of fruits and vegetables. They're eating them more frequently, so you improve tremendous improve to your own health. It's fun. You stimulate all your senses. So, lots of different colors, flavors, scents, textures that come from being out in the garden. It's wonderful to be able to share something that you grew. That is just such a rich experience to be able to go out and harvest food from your garden and take it to a neighbor or a friend, and to have grown it yourself. It's just cool. The other thing that happens is I find people treat the land in a totally different way when they're going to eat off it. So if you're growing food, people become much more concerned about how they take care of the soil. They become more concerned about how they care for the land when they're growing food. So it's a wonderful thing for the environment, for people to choose to manage their property in a way that they're comfortable to eat off of it. So what can you grow here? Here in North Carolina is an awesome place to grow food. We can grow almost anything. We grow flowers. This is one of my favorite edible flowers. This is a pineapple guava. Each one of these little pink petals tastes just like a marshmallow. They're incredible. We hardly ever get any guava fruit in our yard because we don't have flowers. But you can grow flowers, you can grow fruits, you can grow herbs, nuts, vegetables. We're going to talk in a little more detail about the different things, but we grow a wide array of edibles in North Carolina pretty easily. Some of them are harder than others, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. So, what are some of the tree fruits that do really well in North Carolina? So I have a list of the ones that you can grow in North Carolina, and the ones that are bold are the ones that are easier. They're the ones that thrive with less attention, with less need for the use of pesticides or for less input from you. So apples, bay laurel, cherries, elderberries, peaches, pears, both Asian and European pears, persimmons, plums, pawpaws, and pecans. All are things that you can easily grow in your yard. This is a picture. All these pictures are of persimmons. My top choice. Love this plant. Gorgeous, gorgeous plant. Has fall color that'll just knock your socks off. Doesn't have to have heavy pruning like some of the other fruit trees that we use. Has a totally funky flower. Fruit comes way late in the fall, way after most everything else you have has been harvested. You can still be harvesting persimmons, so that's really fun. And it's gorgeous. The leaves fall off, and you still have fruit on the tree, which is beautiful. This is just a close-up of the fall color.
What does it taste like?
What does persimmon taste like? I should have more pictures for you. It's the coolest thing. You can eat it like right off the tree. But what I love to do, I take it and I cut it just like a tomato. Okay, like so you have a round dice, and then it's just fresh, nice and crisp. I also dry it, so it's.
What does it taste like?
It tastes. I'm not good at describing flavor. Somebody else here who can describe. It's a mild, sweet, kind of. I like it a little crisp, so it's crisp, but you can let it go till it's soft. A lot of people will use it in breads and in cooking. I was going to say I like to dry it because then it's really wonderful in cereals and oatmeal and cooking and stuff later. Because with a lot of our fruits, you get a huge bounty. You can't possibly eat all of these, so they're fun to share. But you can also preserve them in different ways to make them easier to eat. I like it fresh best. I like it cut, sliced, and just eaten. But it's I think it's not knock your socks off. Oh my gosh, this is amazing flavor. It's look at this plant. It's working for me in the fall with foliage. It's working for me with a bounty of fruit, and I don't have to spray any pesticides because it really has no pest problems. It doesn't really need a lot of fertilizer. It's low maintenance and high performer. So I would sell it on those things rather than it's not a raspberry.
Okay.
But it's good, and you'll like it. So bushes, what are the bushes that we can eat? Almost all of these do really well. You can do blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, figs, pomegranates, roses, all do well here. These are all pictures of blueberries. So blueberry has a pretty flower in the spring. Of course, it has fabulous fruit. And then it's got gorgeous foliage in the fall. Oh my gosh, what a high-performing plant for your landscape.
Do you have any tips for blueberries here?
Tips for growing blueberries. Blueberries, probably pH is one of the things that's most important. So check how to do a soils test ahead of time. And pick the right blueberries for where you live. So look up and see, what are the recommended varieties? Because there's different varieties for the mountains than there would be for the Piedmont. And so you want to pick varieties that are going to do well in your yard.
Okay.
And then they're pretty straightforward. Oh, good point. Okay, so he's saying you also need to have multiple varieties so that you get cross-pollination. So yes, you definitely want to have more than one type of blueberry in your yard. And I recommend a bunch of types of blueberries because some of them are early bloomers and some of them are way late. And you can have a harvest of blueberries just ongoing by planning ahead. But when you're picking pollinators, I tell you need to have two varieties. You don't want to have one early bloomer, and one late bloomer, because why? They're not blooming at the same time, so they're not going to cross-pollinate each other. So you have to have plants that bloom at the same time to be cross-pollinators. Okay, vines, lots and lots of vines that do well. Beans, grapes, muscadine grapes, bunch grapes, kiwi, hardy kiwi, nasturtiums, passion fruit, peas, and on and on and on. This is all passion vine, and I love this plant because it works for me in so many different ways. It's a pretty vine. It has spectacular flowers. It has yummy fruits that you can use in a variety of different ways. You know, again, it's not going to be the top thing you would look for fruit-wise, but you can cook with it. I just got back from Costa Rica and I had passion fruit in almost everything. And so I'm like, I need to get a Costa Rican cookbook to better use my passion fruit. But what I like it the best for is these bell fritillaries. It's butterfly. This is a host plant for that butterfly. So you'll see those caterpillars grow so fast, caterpillars can't do anything. You can't hurt it. They consume the leaves. And then you've got these spectacular butterflies in your landscape. So again, you're picking plants that are working for you in a variety of ways. In addition to the fruit that they produce, they're a contribution to the landscape. So perennials. A perennial is a plant that lives multiple years. And so artichokes, chives, chrysanthemum, daylilies, dianthus, fennel, lavender, marjoram, mint, oregano, rosemary, sage, and thyme. All are perennials that thrive in our landscapes. These are all pictures of what? Fennel. So fennel is a wonderful culinary as the fennel plant, but also the leaves. I mean, the seeds are wonderful. Taste a little bit like licorice. They're really, if you go to an Indian restaurant and you get those seeds in candy at the end, those are fennel seeds that are in there. It has really beautiful yellow flowers, but most spectacularly, it's a host to the swallowtail butterfly. So you see these spectacular caterpillars on it, and the chrysalis, and then it hatches out into an amazing, amazing butterfly. Annuals, so these are plants that live out their whole life cycle in 1 year in your yard. Basil, calendula, catnip, dill, Swiss chard, Johnny jump ups, pansies, parsley, cygnet marigolds, and many, many of the vegetables. So these are some of the different greens that grow in your yard. This is Swiss chard. Oh my gosh. It's like a stained glass window in your landscape. When the sun comes through it, it comes in reds and yellows and fuchsias and just absolutely showstopper, traffic stopping, spectacularly gorgeous.
Good morning, Cheyenne. 2 hungry at 11 a.m. Biscuits and gravy. Chef John Forrest from the Flipside Restaurant is at the cooking stage. The Sailors, North Carolina cooking stage, sponsored by our friends at the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. That's biscuits and gravy made by Chef John Forrest from the Flipside Restaurant. And from 11 to 1 of the series is at Gardens in Freedom Hall, Colorado. A wonderful musician who shows can sing and play as you stroll through the door. Grab some biscuits and gravy and then go listen to Tom.
Okay. So lots and lots of vegetables that do really well. You can have a gorgeous setup of just, these are different lettuces and spinach. It's beautiful. Ground covers. I've only got strawberries listed here, but a lot of the herbs, thyme, oregano, some of those others would work as ground covers beautifully. These are all pictures of strawberries. You come with pink colored flowers if you want to add a different twist to your landscape, or this is the traditional white ones. They can be grown in window boxes or in pots. So lots of different types of plants for you to choose from to make your entire landscape design work really well.